The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic,
It's Magic Mike.
It is magic time. Hello and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Episode 69.
Oh, there it is. Everyone's ultimate fantasy.
The 69 thing, everyone, even when I was a little kid, people would be like, 69. And I didn't even know what it meant at the time.
Yeah.
And then I think I remember the time when I actually saw the number 69 written out, and I went, and I put two and two together and realized...
I think someone explained it to me.
Yeah. But why is this such a social thing where everyone's always 69, 69? Do people ever do a 69?
No, I don't think so.
I don't
Not
think
in real
anyone
life.
ever does.
It's a weird thing to do.
Why would you?
Yeah, it's like there's too much going on.
It seems like a lot of effort and not a whole lot's really being done.
If you were
in
in some sort of like zero gravity environment, it might be a good thing to do. But
so you think our astronauts are going to, now that we have female astronauts with the male
I think maybe
astronauts,
they were doing it before the female astronauts. Buzz and Neil up there,
floating around in the International Space
the
Station.
other guy just watching, just like everything else. You had to watch them walk on the moon. You had to watch them 69. Weird. What was that guy's name? You remember?
Nobody remembers his name.
Shepard? Something?
I don't know.
Oh, poor guy.
Shepard was an astronaut. I don't know if he was one of the ones.
Was the
didn't get
third guy on that
I'm
trip
not
to
sure.
the moon?
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. So he didn't get any of the hot 69 action, didn't get to jump
No.
out of the capsule. But yeah, I'm sure there's some sex study somewhere where it shows what percentage of couples engage in 69 action. But
It's just the fact that you can say it, and then if you're like white trash,
Yeah.
and you can put on your lowrider a sticker that says the number 69,
right, along with some truck nuts maybe.
Yeah,
dangling on the back.
and be like, look at me, I'm rebellious. I put this number that's about a sex act in the back of my car.
Well, the last time I was out with friends, we were talking about anal play. Maybe next time I should survey everyone to see if they have engaged in a 69.
Well, the other night when I was out, our good friend Nate, who's also a listener of the show, was just flummoxed by how naive we were about people's like sexual behavior.
Really?
And he was also shocked that we didn't know anything about the like male grooming. He's like, it's very common.
About the ball shaving?
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that that's the case, but I don't look at a lot of men's genitals, and so I can only go on my own experience, and I have groomed from time to time, but I didn't think it was common for men to take all the hair off.
Apparently
the
it's
genitals.
common, and we sounded very naive.
Huh. What were we naive about sexually? Because we're both men of the world. We've had plenty of experiences. Oh, yeah.
I feel like most of our talks about sex things were just like, what's happening? And then we're like surprised, and we like try to figure out what people are doing.
Was he surprised about the anal play thing?
I don't know.
Maybe he has some weird proclivities that he's letting through or something. Well, everybody does that. What are you talking about?
Again, you run into the same wall that you always run into with the anal play thing, where it's like, well, tell me more. And people are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know, because sexuality is obviously so personal, and I think a lot of people assume that what they do is probably what other people do. But if I were, as we talked about before, if I were having my girl peg me, with a strap on, I would not assume that that was something that everyone else was into. I would think that was probably a more aberrant sexual activity.
But it's just, that's the distinction between what people actually do and what people feel comfortable about talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're naive.
I don't know. It's a weird, it's something you are just by nature naive about, I think.
I guess.
You kind of have to be, unless you're having that conversation with people in a very, out there way where people are feeling very comfortable about revealing their deepest sexual secrets.
Talking about feeling comfortable about revealing your deepest sexual secrets, have you ever done the 69 with a girlfriend?
Sometime along the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now, and I don't think I can think of a single instance where that took place. I'm not a huge fan of going down there to begin with. I mean, I will if you have to, but...
Well, okay. There's a sexual thing.
Yeah.
You remember there was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh yeah,
where he was really
the
talking
pubic
about
hair in the throat.
Well, he was talking about how the guy who was dating Wanda Sykes or something was mentioning how much he was so
The
into
rapper.
doing
What was
that.
the rapper's name?
I can't remember. But he was like,
gotta eat the pussy.
yeah, and Larry David was like, oh, you know, whatever. But it's
Yeah.
like, is that a thing where men are like actually into doing that?
Well, there was that famous episode of The Sopranos where the
Yes.
rumor got around that Junior liked to go down on women, and that was a horrible thing to be said about you, apparently, amongst the macho
Amongst
mafiosa.
a macho like culture, right? But as far as like just like any guy walking down the street,
Yeah.
is that like something that he's going to fantasize about sexually doing to someone else?
I mean, we're not gangsters, so I don't think our social circle has any sort of...
I don't think there's any taboo.
I don't think there's any stigma about men doing it.
No.
I could see people fantasizing about it, maybe just knowing that maybe you're satisfying your woman, because I think men think about that a lot.
Oh, is that where that comes from?
Maybe.
That idea yeah, okay. That makes sense to me then.
Yeah, you were able to have your girlfriend achieve orgasm through your
mastery.
tongue work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's something to brag about. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard.
Well, it's one thing to brag about it though, but is it something that like sexually excites someone?
I don't know. Does it sexually excite you?
No.
No. If that happens,
But I mean, it's not that I won't. Not that that's something I'm like adverse to doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like something I'm doing for someone else. It's not like something I'm like doing for my own
And
gratification.
there's obviously a place for that. Like when I fantasize sexually about things.
Yeah.
No, I mean we're not going to get into detail here, but it's going to benefit me from a physical sensation standpoint.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I won't engage in any of these things when I'm actually with a partner, because when you're with somebody, you go with the flow of sexual
you give
energy.
and take.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
what sex is all about.
Yeah,
with
sure.
a person. But when you're just strictly fantasy, I don't know if there's a lot of guys jerking off to the idea of going down on their girlfriend.
That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, I think it's the girlfriend going down
Yes,
on them.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm not really that into. I mean, it's fine. I don't know. It's just like we might be getting into too much detail
Right
here,
off the
but-
bat, too.
Yeah.
Opening segment.
Have you ever had a girl just like, I don't know, you're fooling around or something, and they try to do the hand job?
Oh, I know you're adverse to a hand job.
It's like you don't know what you're doing, and it hurts, and you're all weird about it. Not you personally. You've never given me a hand job, but
okay.
I'm sure you're fine at it.
Thank
but
you.
It's like I can do that much better than they can do it, and there's much better things that they could be doing than that. So
Okay.
why bother with that? You know?
But that's just like a step on the ladder of like progressing sexually, right?
I think we could just skip that step entirely.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, a step on the progression. So what? You start making out, then you get a little boob action, then the underwear comes off, and then she has to give you a hand job for a while. Then it moves to oral. Then it moves to like penetration.
Something like that.
I don't think so. I think you just,
But I mean, that's not an unheard of
I guess.
sequence of events.
So this is what happens to you your whole life. This is what's
No.
what's
It's not,
happened?
definitely not what happens to me. I guess, well, in pornography.
Do people give hand jobs in pornography?
No, but there is like a certain sequence of events that people follow, right?
Usually.
But that's not what people do in real life.
That's not what people do. No, especially like the reverse cowgirl. Then it's all about positions in the
Yeah.
pornography. It's like first we have to fuck like this for a while, then we'll switch to this for a while, then we'll do this. Yeah, and it's interesting to think of having sex that way in a very acrobatic. But usually, I don't think people have the energy.
But that's
for that
like
for the most part.
if you're in a play and you're always like, speaking for the audience.
Yeah.
And the way you're presenting everything is for the audience to see.
Right. The camera needs to see the boning.
It's
that's
different
taking
than
place.
it's like if you were having some sort of like drama.
Yeah.
Some sort of Eugene O'Neill like drama in your house. And people are yelling at each other. And like you wouldn't be like worrying about being like looking out the audience or like,
No.
But that's the same distinction that made with pornography, right? You're operating for the audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why there's a lot of like spreading of things going on all the time in pornography, which I don't think couples do, when they're just by themselves.
Again, we find ourselves just really fascinated what's going on with people's sexuality.
I guess we do. Maybe we do sound naive, but I don't think we know what's happening. We know what's going on.
We don't know, but that's the problem. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on.
You can infer things, but you don't know for sure.
You don't know for sure.
Yeah.
There's nobody breaking it down for us, and we're interested.
Unless our audience tells us and writes in at podcast at warrenandbradley.com.
Or if anyone has some sort of like,
Send pictures.
No, please don't do that. But if anyone has some sort of knowledge of a database where there's a lot of this information kept, or if someone's doing this sort of research, I imagine some university has to be doing like an annual research study on these things and seeing what's happening. What
as far
changes.
as I know, college students are all researking this stuff.
Oh,
on a
yeah.
So, did my routine of downtown.
Oh, yeah.
bakery.
You gotta cover this.
I went to the bakery. We've talked before about the presuppositions that certain people have about you. And actually, when I was out last night with some friends, one of our friends was talking about this waitress that we have seen for years and years and years. And he was like, I would just like to sit down with her and ask her opinion, because he was mentioning the fact that basically since he was 21, he'd been going into this bar and she had seen him for years and years and years with all these different people and all these different circumstances and with all these different friends. And like the wait staff, I'm sure they do develop strange...
Well, we develop our ideas about everyone we see around all the
Right.
time. We have theories about their life. Yeah.
So we've talked about the people in the bakery, you know, how I'm apparently a fashion designer and, you know, all this strange little rumors about me. But I had an interaction with one of the girls that works there today who can never tell if waitresses are flirting with me or not, because they kind of have to be friendly anyway.
Yeah.
So I usually assume that they aren't, but then maybe they are. I don't know.
You don't want to make that mistake. Like my coworker who was always thinking that the girl at Quiznos was flirting with him because she was giving him like more tuna than he thought the management maybe wanted him to get. And he was convinced of this, and
Did he actually like try to make some?
No, he had
sort
like a girlfriend, but I think he felt like he was really proud of this fact that she was like really trying to put the moves on him.
Yeah.
And that's really reading a lot into that.
Yeah, it is.
That might just be the way she makes
When
tuna
people work on
sandwiches.
tips, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a girl who we exchange pleasantries whenever I come in there, and like, oh, what are you doing later? Oh, you know, just just
That's the problem. That's the problem
just
when people
hanging
ask you
out.
that question.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to go home and be by myself.
Yeah. I'm like, what about you? Oh, you know, gotta keep working. I'm like, all right. Well, there you go. And it's, it's little interactions.
Pretty much
and
sums it up.
Today she asked me what I was doing. I said, oh, my friend's coming over and we're going to record, and then I'll probably edit some things for a while. And she went, a friend? And I went, yeah. Huh. I just didn't know you had any friends. And she said it completely sincerely and honestly.
Well, it's true because
she was shocked.
The only thing she sees of you is you
Yeah.
by yourself, angrily staring at everyone in this bakery.
I'm not angrily staring at
So
people.
judging everyone's manners. And she must think, man, does that guy ever see anybody?
Yeah.
This is all he does, just come to this bakery? Because that's the only thing she knows.
So I guess if somebody's always alone in a bagel store, you just assume that it's because he can't get anyone to go with him or something?
But going out to eat is usually a social thing, right?
But not going to get a bagel.
But I go to get a bagel, but I take my bagels away. I went there earlier this morning, and I got some bagels and cream cheese, and I got out of there. And I got multiple bagels because I was going to enjoy it with someone else. And they think, that guy has friends.
There, don't you worry.
Yeah, that guy's a popular guy.
Yeah.
They were right, because I am. And so I have this cream cheese, these bagels. I go home and I enjoy it while watching, TV.
Yeah.
And you're just in there like, give me this bagel. You sit down and just staring at dogs
Well, I like
and
to
stuff
people
and
watch.
eating this bagel. And they're like, oh, that's so sad. I wish you had a friend.
I wonder if there's a way I could parlay that into something. I should just start
as I
sighing
recall,
deeply whenever I order.
When you used to go to bars years ago, and you would go by yourself, and you would take out a little notebook and pretend to be like writing poetry or something.
I wasn't pretending.
You're writing poetry?
No, I was writing journal entries.
Yeah, journal entries.
Or just
and
like,
then, like
acerbic things about everyone I saw.
Yeah, and trying to look maybe like you were like a little bit of a pretentious
Let me just say
European.
one thing. Let's just say something right now. I wasn't trying to look like anything, but I was aware of the fact.
But you weren't adverse
there
to
were
people
certain-
perceiving you as perhaps being like, oh, look how like
Illiterate-
deep
illiterate
this guy
man,
is. Oh, yeah,
yes.
he's really into literature. Look, he's probably composing there by himself. Look how pensive he is. And then women would come over and talk to you, right? And be like, ooh,
What are
you're
you
so
writing?
Yeah, what are you writing?
What are you writing? Yeah.
Oh, so sensitive.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That's not happening at the bakery, though.
I don't write anything at the bakery.
Maybe you need to whip out a journal.
Maybe.
And wear like a black beret.
I mean,
and look really like pensive.
I get enough interaction from that. And all the waitresses are like 18 there anyway, so what am I going to do?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
fine.
even I think that's a little much of a stretch, but what's been going on with you, though? Anything exciting?
Well, as I mentioned last week,
NCAA tournament?
last week was Selection Sunday. I took Friday off from work
Because of the tournament?
Yeah, to watch basketball all day.
Oh, my God.
And I watched basketball all day on Saturday, and I've been watching basketball all day today, and I will go back to watching basketball after I wrap this up.
Okay. I'm going to try right now to understand. So you enjoy the tournament because it's sort of like... No, I don't understand. So what are you getting out of the results of this? Well, knowing what team beats which team, what does that do for you?
Well, the interesting thing about the NCAA tournament is that it's win or go home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot on the line for all of these young players. So if you lose, you're done.
Right.
If you win, you advance, still with a chance.
Is it just the outcome that interests you the most, or is it actually...
I like watching people play the game.
So that's it. It's actually watching these fine young athletes exerting themselves.
Play the game that I've watched for years, that I played for years.
Muscular young men.
That I'm fascinated with.
Yeah.
And to see how the game's played, and to see how people handle, pressure situations. Mm-hmm. And then, I've been watching this tournament ever since I was a child. There's a tradition to it.
Yeah.
And what happens in that tournament reminds me of things that have happened in previous tournaments. And it's just a pleasurable experience.
See, because I can understand if somebody tells me they enjoy watching sports because they enjoy seeing athletes competing at the highest level and just the display of skill. Like, these are the best, maybe not necessarily in college, but especially in the professional realm. These are the best there is. They're
very good athletes, and they're competing, and they're employing strategy to try to beat people in different ways. Different teams have different strengths.
And I can understand that just as a display of skill, as a display of excellence. I can understand, okay, I want to watch this. But the idea of caring about the outcome is the thing that I don't understand that much. Because I could watch, occasionally, usually the only football game I watch is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If that. And when I'm watching the Super Bowl, I don't care at all who wins. I still enjoy seeing skilled athletes playing.
But the point is that they're trying to do these things to win the game.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily, if one team wins or one team loses, it's not emotionally going to destroy me in either way. I'm not necessarily rooting for any team. I'm usually rooting for the lower seeded team to upset the higher seeded team, because the upsets are exciting.
Yeah.
But that's the other part that's captivating about it, right? You have some of the elite programs that have some of the larger, better athletes taking on some of these. Florida Gulf Coast University beat Georgetown the other day. Very exciting for these kids that don't get to be on TV. They come in, they beat this prominent program with these highly recruited athletes.
So you're thinking of maybe the future they have in store for them because of the exposure that they get.
No, that was just exciting for them, and they had a great time. And the kids are loving it. They're playing passionately. Yeah, it's very fun. Yeah. But it's like if you were watching a movie, and there's stakes in the movie, which those stakes are completely made up in the movie.
No, I can understand.
That's the drama inherent within that.
I can understand in a single game, taking one side over the other and being excited when that team wins. But then in terms of national standings and everything, I don't see why that really makes that much of a difference. I can understand it in kind of the microcosm of each game and enjoying
understand the greater context
display.
Within
Not really.
the sport. Well, that's a problem for my girlfriend and lots of people who don't follow the sport, is the subtle distinctions between conference affiliations, which have been going on. These types of things aren't that interesting to people who aren't interested in the sport.
It's not even that I don't logically understand what's happening. It's that I don't understand why people care what's happening.
Well, this is the thing, though. Why are you interested in what happens to some weird samurai in a pretend movie?
Well, because I'm saying that when I'm watching that movie, but I will care about the samurai. And if I'm watching one game, I might care what team wins in that game. But if there were if there were a division of samurai in the samurai film
game,
genre
within the context of the tournament is like a scene within the context of the movie, right? And there's stakes within that scene,
I suppose,
leading to a greater end in the end,
I guess.
Yeah. Your denouement, perhaps, at the end. And that's what it is.
All right.
But as people will recall from last year's tournament, loyal listeners, there was a commercial featuring Peter Frampton.
Oh, yeah, the Peter Frampton
commercial. Where he was at some dive bar or something, and this cover band was performing, and then he got up on stage. Yeah, the guy was sick, and then people were like, wow, and then that was supposed to make me understand that this is the thing about Buick.
Right.
This year, they haven't used that same strategy, showing the same commercial over and over and over again, but there have been a series of commercials with Alec Baldwin and Charles Barkley.
With a narrative. An arc.
Alec Baldwin's crossed over into basketball. He's hanging out with the Vikings, having beard growing contests with them. I've seen more of Alec Baldwin.
Beard growing?
Yeah,
beard
growing.
Okay.
A lot of Alec Baldwin. I've seen more Alec Baldwin now than I have in the last couple of days than I have in my entire life.
Yeah.
On the side of the screen, occasionally I'm watching on the computer. He's actually sitting there like spinning a basketball on his finger, just staring at me. And it's like says, "What's in your wallet?" above him. And I'm like, no, you want me to get one of these venture cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a lot.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
There's been that, and there's been a Quiznos commercial for a lobster sandwich that goes, lobster, lobster, lobster. When you think Quiznos, think lobster.
That is what I think when I think
No,
about
you should never think that, because it seems disgusting.
Well, I know that everyone else loves the NCAA tournament, too. I know I'm the odd man out. Even President Obama, who has not managed to submit a budget the entire time he's been in the office of president, has managed to fill out his bracket every fucking year.
But the odd thing about the NCAA tournament is the fact that I actually follow the sport, so I kind of know what's going on. Nobody else follows the sport. It's very rarely do people actually follow the sport until they get to this event. Then everyone jumps on the bandwagon and watches these sporting events without knowing anything about the players, but they just understand the inherent drama within the games. Yeah, it's very enjoyable.
All right,
maybe next year.
I believe you.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
So I'm happy to report that the MSN Wonderwall was back in action today,
God.
so I was able to research my celebrity stories.
The Chinese military can't bring it down for long.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot. I counted 12 fucking baby bump stories. I'm not reporting any of those, obviously, but we'll see what we can do. Catch as catch can here. First story from WENN, Lindsay Lohan's assault accuser may take civil action. Some of you may remember the story. A few months ago, there was a woman who said that Lindsay Lohan punched her in the Club Avenue in Manhattan last November, I guess it was. And the case had gone to court, but then prosecutors dropped the case, saying that there was a lack of cooperation from witnesses. But Mitchell's lawyer, Tiffany Mitchell, is the woman who was accusing Lohan of punching her. Gloria Allred says that her client won't give up her fight for justice. She tells the New York Post, Tiffany is very disappointed. She is considering all her legal options in the civil justice system because of what she suffered that night. So she's trying to go through with the civil suit. Lohan's attorneys are pleased, and this was basically the last thing on her slate.
Okay,
because she had pled to all her like crazy driving charges and everything else, and she'd had to go to rehab for a while. I think she still has to serve 90 days in rehab. She has to do 30 days of community service, 18 months of psychotherapy. And then I think that'll take care of all the other legal shit. That was the thing I was going to mention.
I don't even remember this one. She punched a woman?
Remember that she was trying to get in the VIP section or something?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And then she supposedly beat some woman in the face.
That's right.
Yeah.
It makes me. I was thinking of the other time. Didn't she have some like fist fight with a dude in a hotel room a while back?
There was a guy who. My understanding of it was that they were screwing in a hotel room.
And then he tried to steal from her?
I think he was taking pictures.
Oh, that's right.
And then she was trying to get his phone to delete the pictures or something, and then he choked her.
Yeah.
And then she was beating him, too.
Oh, what a time.
But her people are saying that, okay, now, that's it. And now she's on the straight and narrow. All her legal troubles are behind her. That's obviously...
that would be wonderful if that was true.
Not going to last, I don't think. Here's a story.
Oh, good. I love stories.
Jane Goodall's newest book postponed because of lifted passages.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure most people know Jane Goodall as the primatologist, quite famous for living with chimps for long periods of time.
Aren't we all?
I guess her latest book, Seeds of Hope, which was originally scheduled to be released on April 2nd, has been postponed because a Washington Post freelance reviewer read the book and said that many passages from Seeds of Hope were insanely similar to material on a Wikipedia page and on websites for organic tea and the history of tobacco.
This is very reminiscent of the cases a few years ago with Stephen Ambrose and Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Yeah.
Which is, they just basically are names that have some like lowly paid research
They've got a bunch
assistants.
of researchers.
They're just throwing crap out.
Yeah.
The publishers don't matter. All that matters is that they have like some words on paper that they can put between bindings and put those people's names on there.
Right.
So it's people says Doris Kearns Goodwin, and then like some middle-aged person will go by it and be like, now I'm reading about history, and we'll just read part of a Wikipedia article.
And I know that in this case, I'm sure Goodall has, all her little research assistants. I'm sure some lazy research assistant just went to the chimp Wikipedia page or something and just copied and pasted it. But I like thinking of Jane Goodall, the 78-year-old frail little Jane Goodall sitting in front of a computer and just cheating. Yeah,
basically.
Because, why not at this point? I mean, she's published, I think, 20 books or something.
The thing is about these books, a lot of this popular nonfiction like this, is that the quality is like so low.
Yeah.
And almost irrelevant to the fact that the book sells or not. The book will sell regardless of if the book is good or not.
Well, and it's funny to me because pretty much any information you can find in a nonfiction point of view, you can find online. Like if you want to know about some certain research.
If you want to know about Team of Rivals, if you want to know what went on within the Lincoln administration, you can find that information everywhere. Theoretically, what you would be paying for would be like a good writer to like structure that in a way that would be entertaining.
And some sort of commentary on the information that you're reading. But we were having a conversation a while ago, and we were at your girlfriend's birthday dinner about people taking blogs and publishing them in book form. It's like it's already there on the internet, and just the fact that you've printed out a bunch of pages and bound them and charged $24.95 for it, it's just weird to me.
It's very strange. But that has to do with people's relationship with books in general, and the fact that people don't read books. They do like to buy books and put books on shelves.
Display.
Yeah, it's very strange.
All right, the other week we reported that the Steven Tyler Act in Hawaii that was supposed to control paparazzi taking pictures of celebrities in their private moments, we had reported that it had passed, and according to the story we had read at the time, it seemed like it had.
That being said, we did get it off the Wonderwall, right?
We did. But now, also off the Wonderwall, but from the Associated Press, apparently the act has stalled completely and has no chance of passing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't understand where the confusion was, but I guess, Steven Tyler, if he gets in another bongo circle with his junk hanging out, he's going to still have to deal with paparazzi.
I wonder what sort of political alignment is keeping that from being passed, or what's happening there.
Apparently there's zero support for it within the House in Hawaii.
Oh, how about that?
And I guess the large media lobby really came down hard on it because they're
is that what it is? Because I was wondering,
they're worried about what we had mentioned before about free press and such sticky issues.
So
like
we'll hopefully be able to see Steven Tyler's balls jangling around.
We can hope.
Yeah.
Recently, the Library of Congress added 25 more recordings to its registry of songs, audio recordings that are considered important for preservation.
Yeah.
But just some of the things in here. There was The Twist by Chubby Checker, Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel, the entire album, I guess.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, Ramones by the Ramones.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Fever, the Bee Gees. What does it mean when they preserve these?
Well, it's interesting because if you think about it, does this mean that things will just disappear gradually unless they're preserved by this government body?
Does it mean that they get a compact disc and put it in there, or are they taking the original masters of these recordings and preserving them? I don't get it. Because they do that, too, with the Library of Congress when they preserve movies that go into their registry.
But I know with movies there was a problem, especially early on during...
With old film stock.
With old film stock that would degrade, and we lost a lot of movies.
Oh, there's a lot of movies.
That we'll never see. And I guess it's to prevent that sort of thing from happening.
Maybe. But yeah, The Twist... I listen
It's hard to imagine a world where The Twist wouldn't exist, right? We wouldn't be able to track down a copy of The Twist?
That would be an amazing world, actually, if I think about it. I heard that song the other day. I don't know why or how it was playing in my proximity, but just what a piece of shit that song is.
It's annoying.
Come on, baby.
It's a novelty song.
Let's do the twist.
Yeah.
Go around and around.
And you just picture him. And I always, when I hear the song, I don't picture him, a young Chubby Checker doing it. I picture an elderly
he looks exactly the same.
But he's gross.
Yeah, he's freaky.
And he would wear
that weird kind of plastic face. Yeah. And it looks like his afro is plastic as well.
Yeah.
And he's just like a Lego man just put on top of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's creepy. Okay, we finally have some more Amanda Bynes news. She's been acting like a crazy person lately, but there hadn't been a whole lot in our Celebrity Minute stories recently. But now, Amanda Bynes has been tweeting some strange things. I actually went onto her Twitter page to look at some of the things she's tweeted recently.
Are we following her?
I don't think we are.
We should be.
I don't think she's following us either. Let's see, some random tweets that she's done. Only read my Twitter for photos of me. she says. And then I guess she posts photos. There's one picture here of her in the dark. You can't really see what's going on. She has another tweet that says socks. Picture of socks. Another one,
poorly lit pictures.
Another one that says, I created the phrase LLY and LOL, proud. I think she's lying. If I'm not following you on Twitter, I hate you.
Oh.
So she hates us, apparently. She posts a lot of pictures of herself. I guess she has 2 cheek studs now? I didn't realize that.
They're like matching.
Yeah, it's creepy. She looks like a clown. And then, famously, I don't know, it was last week or something, she tweeted something about Drake saying, I think Drake is a hot fellow.
Yeah.
I guess Drake never responded, and so she felt a little vexed by this. So now she's upped the ante a little bit and has now said, I want Drake to murder my vagina.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming that means she wants him to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Would that be the interpretation you would make for that?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think that's what she's going for.
Yeah. As far as I know, Drake has not responded or...
I recommend that Drake steer clear.
Yeah. Would you murder her vagina if she asked you to? Or...
No. You imagine spending any time with this person?
No. And the thing is, she's not even that good looking at all.
No.
And so it's one thing if you're flighty and obnoxious and just ridiculous, but you're hot, then you can kind of put up with that. And if I were Drake, maybe I would murder a vagina, even if I didn't want to hear anything that was coming out of the mouth that was attached to the vagina.
Yeah.
So even though we're all amused by Amanda's erratic behavior, apparently her family is getting a little worried. According to a source close to the family, Amanda has absolutely no idea about the reputation she's getting for all her weird behavior. In fact, when she got her DUI and those hit-and-run allegations, all she talked about was the publicity she was finally getting. So this is just her saying, look at me, pay attention to me, over and over. And it's weird that she's retired as an actress and supposedly says that she doesn't want to be in the spotlight anymore, but then... Yeah. It's just so...
Obviously, she needs the attention.
Just such weird adolescent behavior. How old is she? 25?
She can't be very old.
24?
She's got to be pretty young.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not going in a good direction, definitely.
I guess that's it for 70 Minutes on the Ward and Bradley Show.
What a conclusion.
Yeah.
There's no more stories?
No more stories.
Are you sure?
There's nothing.
Is there another story?
Absolutely nothing, unless you want to talk about a lot of different baby bumps and bikini bodies, and I don't think we want to get into that. No.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show. They wander the streets, scavenging for loose change and discarded cigarette butts.
Spare $1
and give me a motherfucking cigarette.
I ran out of gas ways back. I got me that.
You smoke weed, don't you?
Good in the car.
I could use some change.
They may be mentally unstable and deserving of our charity, but that doesn't mean they can't be selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
One of our good friends, who we haven't heard from in quite some time, the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man.
Oh, yeah.
Has made a reappearance on Street Freak of the Week. I was standing on my corner yesterday, and I heard a disturbance behind me. I heard someone singing, Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Who could it
Domo,
be?
Domo, 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 Domo arigato. And that sounds like somebody familiar. Turn around, and flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man was sort of traipsing through the intersection against the light. And there are all these cars stopped, trying to get through, honking their horns at him, and he was just sort of pirouetting in the intersection, singing this song.
Yeah.
And I noticed as he was spinning around, he had a giant purple double-ended dildo, each end shoved into one of his back pockets, so it made kind of a U sticking up out of the pockets.
Sure.
And so at one point, as he was, Domo arigato, he took the dildo out and started twirling it about like a mace.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this display going on. There's all this traffic, like honking, going crazy. Some people are just kind of like squealing by him, trying to get through the intersection. And then along comes this old Lincoln Town car, like old 70s crazy ghetto Lincoln Town car, filled with the most stereotypical East LA vatos I have ever seen in my entire life. Dudes with the shaved heads, they had the plaid shirts with just the top button done, like tattoos everywhere. Like, what the fuck is this? What are these people doing in Bellingham? And by these people, I don't mean Mexicans. I just mean gangster people.
Sure, whatever, buddy.
Because I felt like I was back in East LA again, you know, walking along the side of Hollywood Boulevard or something. And these guys pull up. They're trying to get by the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man as well. And they get angry.
Yeah, collision of cultures here.
Oh, my God. So they start screaming at flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man, like, motherfucking faggot, fuck you, faggot, we'll go fucking kill you. Mm-hmm. And they're like, fists out the window. One guy he was basically his entire body out the window, banging on top of his own car and screaming at the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man. And of course, this just upped the ante for the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man.
He loves drama like that.
Oh, yeah. So he had his dildo in his hand, and in the middle of verses of Domar Argado, Mr. Roboto, he was like, I'm gonna fuck your ass with this! Strolling around to the Vatos, which... If I were his legal counsel, I would not advise him to do that kind of thing. And so these people... The road they're on, people who are native to Bellingham will know Railroad Avenue. It's an avenue with parking in the middle, and so you can just kind of go around and around and around. And so these Vatos and their Lincoln just kept going around and around, and the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man just kept staying in the middle of the intersection, and each time they would come up to him again, they would scream more epitaphs at him.
Really?
And then they were throwing like big gulp cups and things in his direction. They were so angry at this. And it was just causing this huge problem in the middle of downtown. All these other people, it was a Saturday, it was busy down there. Yeah. And so finally these bike cops are riding by.
Oh, yeah.
On their little bikes.
The long arm of the law.
Yeah. They notice this disturbance. They notice the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man jumping around in the middle of the street. They notice the Vatos in their Lincoln. Who do you think they went for?
I think they're going for the guys in the Lincoln.
They did.
Because we honestly know they're just here to protect the homeless people. That is their only function, apparently.
They probably know the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man. They probably had some interactions with him. So they pull over the Lincoln with their bikes. They're like banging on the car. Pull it over. The car stops. This morbidly obese gangster dude jumps out and starts running out of the car.
Buddy.
And so one of the more portly cops jumps back on his bike. He's like, starts riding after the dude. He gets about half a block. The portly Mexican guy is like, out of breath. He stops dead. I don't know what they were stopping them for exactly, because they weren't technically breaking any laws of the road. They were just driving around in a circle on the road.
But they were yelling and throwing things.
They were screaming at the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man, but the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man was standing in the middle of the intersection blocking traffic and wielding a giant dildo around. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I probably would have stopped the Vatos and the Lincoln as well. And I didn't stick around to see if there are any arrests for me. I don't know if they're going to make them like ride bitch on their bikes back to the police station or something. Or they probably
I bet you the big fat guy probably had a warrant.
Maybe.
That's probably why he ran.
That's probably why he ran.
Yeah.
Where were they from? Tacoma. I always assume that if there's any gangsters in Bellingham, they're from Tacoma.
Oh, we got gangs.
Yeah. They rule the streets in Bellingham. But, so once the Vatos were no longer screaming at the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man, I turned my back to the affair, and of course, from right behind me comes the voice, I've got a dildo. And I turned around and he was showing me his giant dildo, and I said, that's good. And luckily he didn't try to use it upon me in any way. So there you go. A nice reappearance from the flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man. And he's the only contender this week, so I guess he wins Street Freak of the Week.
Oh, congratulations. You're quite the champion. You're dominating.
Congratulations, flamboyantly gay pirate homeless man wielding a dildo and stopping traffic in downtown Bellingham. You've been selected as the Street Freak of the Week.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
Our hats are off to you, Mr. Homeless Man, because you've been selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
They say they love you, and all they want is sex, but then they leave you when you gain a little weight, but it's not your fault, 'cause sodium makes you retain water. Oh, they never want to listen when you talk about the girls at work you hate.
Yeah, it was great.
We've been getting literally thousands of emails of women complaining about our That's What Men Are Like segment, saying that in our That's How Women Are segments, we usually insult women. And so they were expecting us in our That's What Men Are Like segments to insult men.
Oddly enough, they don't know you, do they?
To sort of redress the balance a little bit. And so this time, instead of pretending to say something critical of men, but then turning it around to make it actually critical of women, we're just going to talk about men.
Okay.
There was a study I read that came out recently. It's kind of one of these pop culture studies that people would put graphs in USA Today about or something. The headline I read in the New York Daily News was "More housework for married men means less sex."
Oh, it's quite some art they have in this article, too. A man is like ironing. Well, apparently his wife is just hanging out, having a beer and watching TV.
I think it's orange juice.
Is it?
I think so.
I thought it was like maybe an IPA or something.
Yeah, she's pretty gussied up for just sitting on the couch. And anyway, we'll have to try to post that picture online. Married men who cook and clean have less sex than their counterparts who focus on more traditionally masculine tasks like yard work and paying bills, according to new research. This suggests the importance of socialized gender roles for sexual frequency. What do you think about this, Warren? Is this something that you would, if someone just asked you the question, okay, there's a couple where the man shares more of the brunt of the housework, washing dishes, doing laundry, vacuuming the floors, or there's a man who spends a lot of his time putting snow tires on the car and chopping down firewood in the backyard, who has more sex? Who would you think?
The firewood chopper.
You would think
But the other thing I also think, we've talked about prisons before.
Yeah.
And about the angry, vile, all id-driven men who are in the prisons can't go a day without having sex and just have sex with whoever's around at any time.
Yeah.
And I think that's just...
Even if it's a little Puerto Rican guy.
Yeah, it's in the nature of, like, testosterone thing.
Yeah.
It's just like...
So,
if you're doing something subtle that doesn't have to do with you using a lot of physical labor or using a lot of, like, strength physically to do things, I think... those people are going to just have less sex.
So are we doing the chicken or the egg here? So do you think the man who does more yard work, do you think the yard work is inciting his sexual appetite? Or do you think the fact that he is doing yard work to begin with means that he has more of a sexual appetite?
That's what I think.
You think that?
I go with the latter.
And do you think that, is it possible that men who have been, cowed by their women into doing how...
This is what we're turning it into?
No.
Okay.
The men who, if you have a wife who's like, you need to clean the house, and he's like, all right, I'll do it. Do you think that that's leaching his vital male essence out of him?
No, I don't. Well,
or do you think that just the fact that he agrees to do such things?
It's the fact that, like, if he agrees to do that, and if he's less assertive about what he wants to do, or if that's the thing he wants to do, he's going to be the kind of man that probably has less sex generally.
Or do you think that maybe as, a good turn for his spouse, a man decides, you know what, I'm going to try to do more housework, I'm going to try to help her out a little bit. He starts doing these things, and do you think the woman coming into the living room, finding her man in an apron, mopping the floor, do you think maybe she is less likely to want to have sex with that man than the one who's out chopping firewood?
I don't think that so.
No?
You think that's what's going on?
I don't know.
You think that the wife who's in her house, she looks outside and she sees her man in, like, flannel shirt,
sweating,
like, chopping firewood, is going to be more sexually available than the woman who sees the man in the house, like, doing ironing?
When she sees the emasculated little pussy that she's made out of him, she's like, God, I don't want to have sex with that anymore.
I think a lot of this stuff, we try to pretend that the symptoms of something are the cause.
Right.
I know in education, one thing that always bothers me, that drives me absolutely insane, is the thing where we talk about how schools are failing children. And, it's like, oh, look at these schools in these areas that are really bad.
Yeah.
And these affluent areas have much nicer schools. If we can only switch the schools, the people in the poor areas would be better. Well, it's like...
It's the families of the poor people.
It's the families of the poor people they're disadvantaged. The kids are getting less education before they get to school.
They're in a less
structured. They're in a less structured environment.
So even if you bus those children from the inner city into these affluent schools, they're not
those schools will suddenly become low-performing schools.
Yeah.
And the schools in what were lower performing schools before will suddenly become better because of the children they have are a little bit more apt to learn and to test better.
So I tend to agree with you in terms of the study as well. Like the men who are doing more traditionally feminine jobs are probably just less likely to be aggressively pursuing sex with their spouse.
I don't think if you take the same man and put him in a situation and he ends up ironing because he has to iron because let's say his wife is like awful or something, or I don't know why everyone's ironing all the time, but this is what he's doing. He's ironing and stuff. I don't think that man, his sex drive is going to shrivel up because he's ironing.
Well, I can definitely say in my life, if I'm a case study in this, I do a lot of traditionally female jobs because I live alone. So I have to do, I do my dishes, I cook, I clean. Just the other day, my neighbor came over to borrow some DVDs, and I was on my hands and knees washing my floor. And she was like, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Because it was dirty."
You're washing your floor?
Yeah. I got to mop and clean and do it.
Why don't you just sweep it up or vacuum it?
Because there's still dust, Warren. It's gross. So anyway, and I hardly ever have sex.
But you desperately want to have sex.
I do. So I guess it has less to do with drive.
Okay, I'll say this about this.
Yeah.
Here we go. You may want to have sex, but you're not...
What I should do is just go out into people's backyards and start chopping wood.
Well, maybe if you became a high-powered CEO, a captain of industry in some way... And then women would be throwing themselves at you, and you would probably have more sex.
That's possible.
But you seem to still have the same... We're saying that person has the same sex drive as the person that has it now. You're just not... The women just aren't around because you're at home, like, cleaning your floor.
Yeah.
Doing feminine activities.
It's interesting because I looked up a few other studies because the whole idea of, the way men think about sex, the way women think about sex, we have certain preconceived notions, like apparently men are just constantly thinking about sex.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just thinking about sex right there. So maybe that's actually
true.
true.
Do that after the podcast. I don't want to be around you when you're doing that.
But there was another study that I think came out last year that apparently men want cuddles more than the women do in relationships. And this kind of goes counter to what we think. Men need to cuddle to be happy in a long-term relationship, while women prefer to have sex, a new study finds. This is from the Telegraph in the UK.
Yeah.
Acts of affection like hugs and kisses were more important to men than women, researchers found. And for women, sex tends to get better over time after a couple has been together for 15 years. Researchers surveyed over 1,000 couples from 5 different countries who had been in relationships for between 1 and 51 years. The participants aged between 40 and 70 were asked how many times in the past month they had kissed, cuddled, caressed, and made love with their partner. Men who frequently reported kissing and cuddling were 3 times as happy on average as those who had less snuggling with their wives or girlfriends.
Okay, you idiots. This is the same goddamn causation thing. If you're in a happy relationship with someone you want to kiss and cuddle, you're going to be happier. But kissing and cuddling doesn't make you happier. I mean, I could have Ed Asner as my girlfriend, and I wouldn't want to kiss and cuddle him because he's fucking Ed Asner.
Yeah.
If I had some wonderful, gorgeous wife, and I was always kissing and cuddling her because I was so happy I had her, then I would probably be a happier person than if I had Ed Asner in my bed.
I agree. The only interesting thing about the survey is that according to what the two genders wanted, I guess the women reported being more interested in just having sex, and the kissing and cuddling wasn't that important to them. But apparently the men said that it was very important.
Is this your experience of life?
I like to kiss and cuddle.
I don't mind kissing and cuddling.
Yeah. But that's in addition to the sex. If there was no sex and only the kissing and the cuddling, then I wouldn't be just happy, well, at least I'm getting kissing and cuddling. There would need to be the sex first, and then I could be happy with the kissing and cuddling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Really, we've found nothing out about men?
Okay. Everyone knows everything there is to know about men already.
They do. It's pretty easy.
Everyone knows everything there is to know about women already.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's lots of it's based on stereotypes because that's what we all know from...
And they usually hold true.
They hold true for the most part. There are different people who are different. There are exceptions that prove the rule.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, just doing research to try to contradict things that we already know. Why? Stop.
Well, that's what men are like.
Exactly.
Yeah, they like to wear black socks with khaki shorts. And on Sundays, instead of on the lawn, they like to eat hot wings, drink domestic beer, and watch endless stupid fucking sports. They're insensitive, so selfish too. We can't kill them all, so we'll just fucking have to fucking make do. That's what men are like.
So on Friday, I've been home all day, of course, watching basketball. The girlfriend had been at work, and she came home, and I was like texting with her, and I was like, "What do you want to do for dinner?" And she's like, "I've been working all day. Let's just get some delivery." And I was like, "Oh, let's maybe get some Best Chopsticks."
Oh, yeah.
Our favorite Chinese place. I hadn't had Chinese in a long time. So she's like, "Great." It takes a long time for your Best Chopsticks to get delivered.
At least an hour, usually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's like, "I'll call. You just come over whenever. You'll be here before the food comes."
Yeah.
So I eventually wander over there. I get there. She had called like a half hour before I had got into the house. And so, watch some basketball.
Did you order the ham cheese wontons?
No. Nobody likes this but you.
They're so good.
The clock is turning slowly. They actually told her when she called that it'd be an hour, which they usually don't do.
Yeah.
Hour and 15 minutes in, she goes, "I think I'll call." So she calls. They say, oh, it's out. You'll get it in no time. It's out. She's like, "Okay." 2 hours in, waiting for the Chinese food. She calls again.
So now if they were telling the truth, you know that your food has been out there for an hour.
Very likely they were just lying.
Yeah.
She calls again to cancel the order after 2 hours because she's very hungry. They say, the driver's almost back to take you your food. 5 minutes. It'll be like 5 minutes. So she gets talked into like being like, "Okay, fine." 2 hours and 20 minutes after we've called to order our Chinese food, I try to call to cancel. They're not answering their phone. She gets very annoyed and just leaves the house looking to get pizza for us.
Yeah.
She's going to get us some pizza. 2 hours and 25 minutes
later.
later.
Did they take down her credit card information on
No, we haven't paid for anything.
Okay, so it was
yeah.
just cash?
Yeah, it was just cash. So we felt fine about that. So she ordered at 6:30, 8:55, knock at the door. There he is with the Chinese food. And I was like, "I'm sorry, we've been waiting almost 2.5 hours. We're not going to take this food." He goes, "Half price?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Okay." And he just leaves.
Wow. Are you 86 now from Best Chopsticks?
They're 86 by me.
Yeah.
Okay. This gets to the nature of competition within a marketplace.
Yeah. There are, as far as I know, that's the only Chinese place that delivers
in town.
Yeah.
I've lived in places where there are multiple places that deliver Chinese food. You can get Chinese food in half an hour.
Yeah.
Not that big a deal.
They're not that busy in there.
They're not that busy.
Ever.
I just think they send out one of the cooks once in a while to deliver your food when they feel like it. 2.5 hours is too long to wait for Chinese food to be delivered from a place that's a few blocks away from your house.
Yeah.
Outrageous behavior. I've been wondering, how have you handled the situation?
I would have canceled it as well. I will put up with a lot because they are the only place that delivers.
Yes.
And I've had it before where I've called. It's been usually the woman you talk to does not speak English well.
No.
And so you never know if you're for sure making yourself understood.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to explain to her about the fact that there is a call box. It's controlled access to my building. So I was trying to tell her, you need to look up my name and I'll buzz your driver in. And she's like, "Oh, he'll just call you. He'll call you." Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? And she said, "Oh, it's fine."
Yeah.
And so then 2 hours later, it's like, what the fuck's going on? I happened to go downstairs to bring some garbage out, and the little delivery guy was like sitting on my stoop. And it's like, what the hell is this? "I forgot my cell phone. No cell phone."
So you're just going to give up and sit down?
He just sat there hoping that somebody would come out at some point and let him into the building. So, of course, my food was, ice cold when I got it. I have stopped getting them to deliver now.
Yeah.
And now I just order it to go and I go pick it up myself.
That's what you have to do.
You kind of have to do that.
Their delivery service is so poor that they might as well not have a delivery service.
Sometimes you call and they just say they're not going to deliver.
Yes.
They don't want to bother. It is funny, though, because I really like the food there. If this were a place that had just kind of middling food or I didn't really care for it very much, I'd just say, fuck you, that's it.
But the other thing is that there's so much bad Chinese food around.
There is. There's awful Chinese
gross,
food.
salty, nasty, grossy. And this stuff is like, it's regular old Chinese food.
But it's fresh
it's good.
And it's,
It tastes really good.
Yeah.
It has a good flavor to it, and that's what I want.
It is funny, because, I mean, this isn't New York. I mean, I don't know how many orders they get for delivery every year or every night, but if I go in there to pick up my food, there's maybe one couple sitting in the restaurant. I don't know, and to mix up some like beef and broccoli stir fry, I don't think it takes that long, really.
No.
I don't know. I don't get it. I just you're right. I just think they know that they have people over a barrel and they don't care.
And they just don't they don't know what there's anything wrong with what they're doing too. I feel like, because I know I've gone there before and tried to get like carry out, and there hasn't been anyone in the restaurant, and I've called like 40 minutes before, and I get there and say who I am. They're like, oh, you sit down. And I feel like they start making the food then.
When you get there, yeah.
Yeah.
There's this weird cultural thing as well, I think, because as Americans, we are insanely customer service oriented.
Yeah.
Most of the world isn't. Most of the world doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of culturally being carried over. If this were a Chinese food run by or a Chinese restaurant run by Americans, the food would suck, but they'd make sure you got your order in like 30 minutes or less.
Yes. Or if this were a Chinese food place in a place where there were a lot of other delivery options, no one would go to this Chinese food place. Or no one would ever get anything delivered from this place because they can't compete with someone that actually brings you your food within 2 hours. It made me anxious, though.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I don't really, with delivery, I'm fine with getting the food delivered, but you got to get it there in a reasonable amount of time, or else it just ends up sitting there. You're hearing noises, and you start jumping out of your seat, thinking that they're there. It's
that feeling of being at somebody's mercy.
Yes.
I don't like that at all.
No, it's very nerve-wracking.
That's why I just switched to picking it up, because then I'm master of my own fate in that situation. And so even if you're waiting for the food, and even if it's a place that has a pretty good track record in terms of when they're delivering the food, you can't rest until the food comes. You know, it's like if you want to sit down and watch a movie or something and eat your food, you can't start the movie yet. I don't know. You're just in this weird limbo. Where's my food? When's the food getting here?
When's the food going to get here? Especially when it's like such a wide window. It's like it could come any time this evening. Yeah. So I just have to wait around my house for you to come with my food.
It's kind of gotten to the point of like the cable company where we'll be there between 9 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon.
It's like that, right? It's almost like,
so let me take a day off work to order my Chinese food. Yeah, it's weird. I'd like, maybe some underprivileged people in India to hear this podcast about us complaining about getting our food delivered to our door.
It's true. It is a first world problem.
It is.
But at the same time, it's like, that's what I'm paying you for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and then
if I just need nourishment, I just make myself something and eat it.
And then the fact that the delivery guy is there, you feel like you have to tip the delivery guy, but when you've been waiting for 2 hours, is it his fault that you've been waiting?
No, that's the weird thing about that too, right?
Yeah.
Because it isn't his fault, probably. But it's like, I'm not going to ensure prompt service by giving a tip to someone.
You want to send a message to the establishment, but the message is only really going to him because they're still getting the money.
That's why when he came and he was like, half price or blah, 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 he could have said $1 and I wouldn't give him any money.
Yeah.
Because I want him to go back and be like...
They were angry.
I have a feeling he had spent all night just driving around having people be like, fuck you. I called this in the afternoon and it's the middle of the night now. I'm not going to pay you for this food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a shame.
It's a real shame.
All right. Now that we've put that to bed, I think that's enough time for the Warren and Bradley Show this week. I've been one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Saying,
give me my goddamn Chinese food in a prompt manner.
5 minutes.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast at warrenandbradley.com.
Out what people are doing.
Was he surprised about the anal play thing?
I don't know.
Maybe he has some weird proclivities that he's letting through or something. Well, everybody does that. What are you talking about?
Again, you run into the same wall that you always run into with the anal play thing, where it's like, well, tell me more. And people are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know, because sexuality is obviously so personal, and I think a lot of people assume that what they do is probably what other people do. But if I were, as we talked about before, if I were having my girl peg me, with a strap on, I would not assume that was something that everyone else was into. I would think that was probably a more aberrant sexual activity.
But it's just, that's the distinction between what people actually do and what people feel comfortable about talking about. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we're naive.
I don't know. It's a weird, it's something you are just by nature naive about, I think.
I guess.
You kind of have to be, unless you're having that conversation with people in a very, out there way where people are feeling very comfortable about revealing their deepest sexual secrets.
Talking about feeling comfortable about revealing your deepest sexual secrets, have you ever done the 69 with a girlfriend?
Sometime along the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to...
The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic.
It's Magic Mike.
It is magic time. Hello and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Episode 69.
Oh, there it is. Everyone's ultimate fantasy.
The 69 thing, everyone, even when I was a little kid, people would be like, 69. And I didn't even know what it meant at the time.
Yeah.
And then I think I remember the time when I actually saw the number 69 written out, and I went, and I put two and two together and realized...
I think someone explained it to me.
Yeah. But why is this such a social thing where everyone's always 69, 69? Do people ever do a 69?
No, I don't think so.
I don't
Not
think
in real
anyone
life.
ever does.
It's a weird thing to do.
Why would you?
Yeah, it's like there's too much going on.
It seems like a lot of effort and not a whole lot's really being done.
If you were in some
of
sort of like zero gravity environment, it might be a good thing to do. But
so you think our astronauts are going to, now that we have female astronauts with the male
I think maybe
astronauts,
they were doing it before the female astronauts. Buzz and Neil up there,
floating around in the International Space
the
Station.
other guy just watching, just like everything else. You had to watch them walk on the moon. You had to watch them 69. Weird. What was that guy's name? You remember?
Nobody remembers his name.
Shepard? Something?
I don't know.
Oh, poor guy.
Shepard was an astronaut. I don't know if he was one of the ones
Was the
didn't get
third guy on that trip to the moon?
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. So he didn't get any of the Hot 69 action, didn't get to jump out of the capsule. But yeah, I'm sure there's some sex study somewhere where it shows what percentage of couples engage in Remember Now, and I don't think I can think of a single instance where that took place. I'm not a huge fan of going down there to begin with. I mean, I will if you have to. But.
Well, okay. There's a sexual thing. You remember there was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh, yeah.
Where he was really talking
pubic hair in the throat?
Well, he was talking about how, the guy who was dating Wanda Sykes or something was mentioning how much he was so into doing that.
What was the rapper's name?
I can't remember. But he was like,
you gotta eat the pussy.
Yeah, and Larry David was like, whatever. But it's like, is that a thing where men are like actually into doing that?
Well, there was that famous episode of The Sopranos where the rumor got around that Junior liked to go down on women, and that was a horrible thing to be said about you, apparently, amongst the macho mafiosa.
A macho like culture, right? But as far as like just like any guy walking down the street, is that like something that he's going to fantasize about sexually doing to someone else?
I mean, we're not gangsters, so I don't think our social circle has any sort of...
I don't think there's any taboo.
I don't think there's any stigma about men doing it.
No.
I could see people fantasizing about it, maybe just knowing that maybe you're 69 action, but...
It's just the fact that you can say it, and then if you're like white trash, and you can put on your lowrider a sticker that says the number 69.
Right, along with some truck nuts, maybe.
Yeah, and be like, look at me, I'm rebellious. I put this number that's about a sex act in the back of my car.
Well, the last time I was out with friends, we were talking about anal play. Maybe next time I should survey everyone to see if they have engaged in a 69.
Well, the other night when I was out, our good friend Nate, who's also a listener of the show, was just flummoxed by how naive we were about people's like sexual behavior.
Really?
And he was also shocked that we didn't know anything about the like male grooming. He's like, it's very common.
About the ball shaving?
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that that's the case, but I don't look at a lot of men's genitals, and so I can only go on my own experience, and I have groomed from time to time, but I didn't think it was common for men to take all the hair off.
Apparently
the
it's
genitals.
common, and we sounded very naive.
Huh. What were we naive about sexually? Because we're both men of the world. We've had plenty of experiences.
I feel like most of our talks about sex things were just like, what's happening? And then we're like surprised, and we like try to figure